Bizarre Brain Comics. Another visit with the Dark Librarian. Hello, my comic book fiends. Ooh, you like my different cape? No hood. Yes, I am the Dark Librarian, and I am here to tell tales of terror. And I'm here for Bizarre Brain Comics. And here to help me is my ever-present friend, Mr. Bones. Say hello, Mr. Bones. Oh, you can't say it. No, he can't say it. He has no tongue. He can't say hello. Hello, Mr. Bones. Mr. Bones can't say it. Anyway, Mr. Bones is here helping me. And he is holding the terror tome we are going to discuss today. This is reprint edition, the Vault of Horror, Volume 6. And it is reprinting the last 4 issues, it's an annual, the last 4 issues of the Vault of Horror, which would be 26 through 29. But actually it ended in, the original printing in 1954 ended with issue number 37, but that's because it started with a different title. And you know these, the great EC horror. Oh yes, perfect for Halloween. Yes, we're still in Spooktober, the spooky month of October. Yes, I even made it so that the UFO things that I did before, and I forgot what the other one was. Yes, still fit in with the spooky stuff, the strange stuff. Oh yeah. So we're going to look here. Just look at a couple of stories that our dear friend, the Vault Keeper, has for us this time. Okay? So let's go. Yes. Yeah. Here we are. So we can look at the Vault of Horror. Actually, the issue of the Vault of Horror we're going to be looking at is issue number 26. Correction, yes, 26. But, as I said, the numbers were offset. So the original one was not actually number 26. And this reprint volume is from 1999, reprinting stories that were originally in 1954. And this is a pretty famous cover here, and one that caused some stir with this particular angle, seeing the man hanging from the rope in the bell tower, And we have our usual Ghoulunatics, the Vault Keeper, the Crypt Keeper, and the Old Witch. But did you know that there were actually 4 horror hosts for the EC horror comics? And those are the 3 that are best known. I can't. And the 4th is not so well known, and did not get as much, was not seen as well as much. Let's see. So that is the cover. And then the cover of there it is, the issue itself inside. Because these, what they did with these, when these were being reprinted by, was it Gemstone? I think it was Gemstone. Back then, they have leftovers, and they would combine the issues together and bind them to the 4 issues together into one volume. And these were the basically the annuals that have all 4 issues that they had for that year. And this is the very last one that they did for the Vault of Horror. And now here we get to, in the first page in the Vault of Horror, we have the Vault Keeper, and he is introducing his assistant host, Drusilla. Yes, this very lovely, and he even says right here. She's this is meet Drusilla, hostess of the Vault of Horror. You may recall seeing her before. She's been been gliding in and out of this place for some time. Yeah, for several issues, we would see her once in a while in the background, but they'd make no reference to her. She's just here, and it would be nice to have her stand around looking beautiful, and she does it very, very beautiful indeed. But she only appeared named and in the front in the last 4 issues of the Vault of Horror. We see her here, and here she is again, but she says nothing. She's just there to look good. Of course, Johnny Craig was so well known for his beautiful ladies, and here she is again. And see, is there one more of her? Yes, I think there's one more of her. Oh, I'm going to have to do that one sometime. And there she is again. She never speaks, but in some of the earlier issues, she would just be hanging around in the background. Because I remember reading one and said, "Who's that?" And, well, now we know. It's Drusilla. So, the stories that and of course, they all 3 of the horror hosts would make an appearance in all 3 of the titles. They had the Vault of Horror, the Crypt of Terror, and I suddenly cannot remember the 3rd title. Doesn't matter. Anyway, and they would each tell their stories. Well, I'm only going to go to look at a couple of stories here. And this one is Take Care, and it is hosted by the Vault Keeper. And this story was drawn by the great Al Williamson. And look how magnificent that spooky old house looks. And the creepy tree and stuff. And yeah, and Al Williamson sometimes had difficulty meeting his deadlines, and he would sometimes get help uncredited, but that was mostly because he mostly did science fiction. But he would get help from Frank Frazetta and Roy Krenkel, who were his friends, and Roy Krenkel was basically mentor to both Al Williamson and Frank Frazetta. So here we are, this house, Take Care. We see this man. This pair of men approaching the old house, and one is the newly hired caretaker of this house, and by the I think the real estate or the whoever has the estate. And here he is told of the history of the house, how the rich old man who lived there, he was a terrible man, and couldn't keep any servants, but he had the one servant who stayed with him for a long time, and he treated him very, very shabbily, very poorly, until one day someone came and found the old man hanging. For some reason, this house had
a bell tower, and he was hanging from the rope from the bell tower, and the caretaker's room was right under that bell tower, and the caretaker was gone. He must have skipped. No one had ever seen him since, but it was still hanging there, and the bell pole has a noose in the end. And this new caretaker, he's supposed to stay in the same house. He's just in the same room with that with the bell pole looking like a noose. And he's kind of freaked out, and he's supposed to. So he's left with a light, and he's but he doesn't want to get fired. He can't leave because he really needs the job. So he goes looking around, and he hears some stuff, and he's really creeped out. So he goes back to his room, and then he sees things. Oh, and all he had, no electricity. All he has is lanterns and candles. And then finally, he hears and sees something coming towards him, coming towards him, and the light goes out. And this is a great bit of storytelling. 3 completely blank panels. Then later, the next day when they come back, and they find 3 bodies. One is the new caretaker. One is the old man who has been as if he's been removed from his grave, and the other, hanging from the bell pole, is the old caretaker. Not the new one, but the old one. He had killed the old man from the bell pole and stayed living in the house, had thought that he would be the inherit the house, and he didn't do it. Says, Mr. Dench, the new caretaker should have hired a caretaker to take care of him. Actually, all the noise he heard between the walls wasn't rats. It was Avery, the old caretaker, and his companion murderer having a rat race. The companion lost. Anyway, if you don't have a subscription to this mag, send money, cash, to me. You will find the address somewhere. And then we have the old witch telling a story here from the Witch's Cauldron. In a story she likes to call Old Henry. And this is a lot. They always put a lot of humor and puns and stuff, especially in the introduction. Even though the stories were usually serious, they always had a lot of humor. Says, I don't know why I'm laughing. I really should be bawling over this foul fare I'm ready to serve you, slop-loving slobs. It's the most pitiful, puling putrescence I've ever threw up to you, stirred with sickening sadness, stewed with a nauseating Niagara of tears, seasoned with pity pepper to a polluted delicacy, and garnished with sympathy slime. Of course, this tale also has irony, for your blood, you know. So, spoons ready, fingers and noses. Now gobble up this gruesome garbage I call. Oh, Henry. Oh, listen to that purple prose and all the alliteration. Oh, that's magnificent. So, and this is a story about a cop, plainclothes cop, and the power just kind of went to his head. He was a bit of a bully, and he would patrol his beat. He was a lieutenant. Patrol his beat, and here he shows him really roughing up a guy who was a pickpocket. He was roughing him up unnecessarily, and then and rousting some drunks, etc. And then he sees this old lady with a shopping bag going into a store, and he thinks she looks a little suspicious. So he keeps an eye on her, and she gets a few items. And then when the store owner's back is turned, she starts to leave, and the cop grabs her and nabs her for shoplifting. And she's, oh, I'm so sorry, officer. Sorry. It's only about $1. And the shop owner's going, because she's got a story. Said, my husband is invalid. We have no money, and he's paralyzed, and he needs me to take care of him. I'm going to have to feed him, and he needs food. I don't know. And he just says, no, sister, no sob stories. the shop owner says, I won't press charges. It's only $1. She can have the stuff. And he says, no, I won't have it. I witnessed it, and I'm going to press charges. And he takes her in, makes sure she gets in the cell, goes to sees the judge. He gives her 60 days, and there she is. There she is in the jail. And then the cop is not happy with when she is let out after only 1 month because of good behavior. And she had said where she lived, and so when she's getting out, he goes ahead, and he goes to her house, wants to check out her story. And she was bawling and crying because Henry is paralyzed. He can't feed himself. He can't take care of himself, and he'll die of starvation. Won't you please go check on him? Well, he wouldn't do it. Now he goes to check the house out, and sure enough, he finds the desiccating corpse of Henry, her husband, who was in a wheelchair, paralyzed, couldn't take care of himself, couldn't do nothing, and he's obviously been dead for quite some time. And he goes, oh my gosh, it was all true. I didn't believe her. I killed him. And then the old lady shows up and she goes, oh Henry, dear, it's so good. Do you think I wouldn't come back? And she kisses the corpse on the cheek and says, oh, officer, wouldn't you here, let me make you some tea. He makes her a cup of tea. She makes him a cup of tea. Now I must feed poor Henry. And she goes, here, madam, please, I'm sorry. And offers her some money and says, oh, I won't need that. Henry's meal is taken care of already. You see, I poisoned you, Lieutenant, in the tea. Rat poison. It kills men slower than rats. It paralyzes them first. All the way home I was thinking, what can I feed poor Henry? He'll be so hungry, starved, you might say, after a whole month. But when I saw you waiting for me here, it came to me. It was so simple, so very simple. You see, you shall eat well, Henry, dear. Now, wasn't that sweet of the old lady to forgive all and have him for dinner? Anyway, that's how Hart ended up in the soup, not to mention the entree and all the fixings. Dessert, anyone? Hey, don't turn green, turn the page. Oh, this is the end of the book, and yes, that is the end of that particular issue. Oh, lovely. The lovely dark humor that the EC Horror Comics was so famous for. And I want to thank you so much for joining me. And so please like, share, subscribe. Do leave your comments down below. Tell me what you think. I forgot to mention that story was drawn by Johnny Craig. And no, I'm sorry. That story was drawn by Graham Ingalls. So let me know what you think of the Vault of Horror. And were you surprised and gratified by the titillating figure of Drusilla? Oh, let me know in the comments below. And remember, comics are art.